At 78 years old, with worn-out shoes and a jacket older than most of the audience, Mang Lito walked onto the America's Got Talent stage carrying nothing but a faded photograph and a promise he had made 50 years ago. No one expected the quiet Filipino veteran to shake the entire theater. Not even Simon Cowell was ready for what happened next. If stories of courage, sacrifice, and second chances move your heart, make sure you subscribe and join this family, because today's story will remind you why hope is never too old to shine. Mang Lito had lived most of his life in silence. In a small coastal village in the Philippines, long before the bright lights of America ever touched his face, he was simply known as Lito, the fisherman's son who sang to the ocean. Their house was made of bamboo and rusted tin sheets that rattled every time a storm rolled in from the Pacific. When the wind blew too hard, his mother would gather the children in one corner, praying that the roof would hold through the night. There was never enough money. Some nights, dinner was only rice with salt. Other nights, there was nothing at all. But when hunger grew heavy, young Lito would sing. He would stand outside under the coconut trees and let his voice rise above the crashing waves. Neighbors would pause. Even the stray dogs would go quiet. His mother used to say that God had hidden gold in his throat so the world would not forget him. But dreams do not always survive poverty. When Lito turned 18, war tensions in the region grew stronger, and he enlisted in the military to help support his family. He promised his mother that one day he would return and build her a real house with concrete walls and a roof that would never leak. Before he left, he gave his younger sister a folded piece of paper. On it were the lyrics of a song he had written called The Fisherman's Prayer. He told her, "One day, I will sing this on a big stage." Military life hardened him. He saw things no young man should ever see. He lost friends in explosions that echoed in his ears long after the smoke cleared. He carried wounded soldiers across muddy fields while bullets cut through the air like angry bees. Through it all, he kept singing quietly to himself at night. The same song, the same promise. Years passed. When he returned home, the village was poorer than before. His father had passed away. His mother's hair had turned completely white. The dream of building her a house slipped further away as hospital bills piled up. Lito found work as a dock laborer, lifting heavy crates under the burning sun. His back bent. His hands hardened. The song faded into memory. Then life delivered another cruel twist. A powerful typhoon destroyed most of their village. The ocean he once sang to swallowed homes and boats alike. Their house collapsed. His mother did not survive the storm. For months, Lito stopped singing. Guilt consumed him. He had promised her safety, a better life, a strong roof. Instead, he had given her decades of struggle. He blamed himself for dreaming too big and achieving too little. Eventually, his sister encouraged him to leave the Philippines and try his luck in America. She had married and moved to California years earlier. She told him that America was a place where even old dreams could breathe again. At first, Lito refused. He was in his late 60s by then. Who would hire an aging foreign veteran with limited English and no savings? But destiny sometimes waits patiently. With borrowed money and a suitcase filled mostly with memories, Lito moved to Los Angeles. He found work as a janitor in a small community center. At night, when everyone had left, he would mop the floors and hum quietly. One evening, a teenage volunteer overheard him singing. The boy stood, frozen behind the curtain, tears rolling down his face. "You should audition for America's Got Talent," the boy said. Lito laughed. He thought it was a joke. But the boy was serious. He helped Lito record a simple audition tape using an old phone. In the video, Lito introduced himself in broken English, explaining that he was a Filipino veteran who had once promised his mother he would sing on a big stage. Weeks passed. No reply. Then, one morning, while scrubbing graffiti off a wall, Lito received a call. He had been selected to audition in front of the judges. He almost dropped the phone. When he arrived at the theater, he felt smaller than ever. Contestants half his age practiced complicated dance routines. Others rehearsed magic tricks or belted high notes in the hallway. Lito sat quietly, holding his mother's photograph. Finally, his name was called. The stage lights were blinding. The audience clapped politely as the elderly man shuffled to the center. Simon Cowell looked curious. Sofia Vergara smiled warmly. Heidi Klum leaned forward. Howie Mandel tilted his head. "What's your name, sir?" Simon asked. "My name is Lito Reyes," he replied softly. "People call me Mang Lito." "And how old are you?" "I am 78. The crowd reacted with surprise. Simon asked why he had come to AGT at his age. Lito paused. He held up the faded photograph of his mother. "I made her a promise," he said. A hush fell over the theater. He explained his childhood, the storms, the war, the lost years. His English faltered at times, but his sincerity needed no translation. Simon listened intently. "What will you be singing tonight?" Simon asked. "A song I wrote long time ago," Lito answered. "For my mother." The music began softly. A simple piano melody filled the theater. Lito closed his eyes. The first note trembled slightly. A few people shifted in their seats. But then something extraordinary happened. His voice grew stronger, deeper, filled with decades of pain and love. It was not the polished voice of a trained pop star. It was raw. It carried the weight of typhoons, war, regret, and longing. By the second verse, the audience was completely silent. When he reached the chorus, his voice soared in a way no one expected. It filled every corner of the theater. The lyrics spoke of a fisherman kneeling by the sea, asking the heavens to protect the ones he loves. It was simple, honest, devastating. The camera cut to Simon Cowell. His eyes glistened. Midway through the song, Lito's voice cracked. For a terrifying second, it seemed he might stop. He gripped the microphone tightly. Tears streamed down his face. "I'm sorry," he whispered. The audience began to clap rhythmically, encouraging him. Simon nodded slowly as if telling him to continue. Lito took a breath and sang the final chorus louder than before, as if his mother were standing in the balcony. When the last note faded, there was a moment of stunned silence. Then the entire theater erupted. People stood up. Some were crying openly. Heidi wiped her cheeks. Sophia covered her mouth. Howie shook his head in disbelief. Simon remained seated for a few seconds longer. He looked down, clearly emotional. Then he stood up too. "I didn't expect that," Simon said after the applause settled. "That was one of the most honest performances we have ever had on this stage." Mang Lito bowed his head. Simon continued, his voice softer than usual. "You reminded us why we started this show. Not for perfection, but for moments like this." Then came the twist no one predicted. Simon reached toward the golden buzzer. The crowd gasped. He pressed it. Gold confetti exploded into the air, raining down on the elderly veteran who had once believed his dream had died in a storm. Mang Lito fell to his knees, sobbing. Backstage, contestants who had earlier overlooked him now watched in awe. But the story did not end there. After the golden buzzer moment aired on television, donations poured in from viewers across America and the Philippines. Veterans organizations reached out to honor him. Musicians offered to help him professionally record The Fisherman's Prayer. Yet just as his life began to transform, tragedy struck again. Doctors discovered that Lito had a serious heart condition requiring expensive surgery. He had kept it secret during auditions, not wanting sympathy. When Simon learned about it, he personally called him. Simon arranged for medical support through connections and ensured the show would assist with expenses. During the live semi-finals, Lito returned to the stage weaker physically but stronger in spirit. This time, he dedicated his performance not only to his mother but to every immigrant who had ever felt invisible. His second song told the story of an old tree that refuses to fall despite storms. By the final note, the audience was chanting his name. Though he did not ultimately win the grand prize, Mang Lito won something far greater. He reunited with his village in the Philippines through a live video call broadcast during the finale. The people who once heard him sing under coconut trees watched him under golden lights. Months later, after successful heart surgery, Lito returned to his hometown. But he did not return empty-handed. With the donations and earnings from performances, he rebuilt homes destroyed by typhoons. He funded scholarships for children of veterans. And finally, he built a concrete house near the shore with a strong roof that would never leak. Above the doorway, he placed a small plaque that read, "Promise Kept." In interviews, Simon Cowell later said that Mang Lito's audition was one of the performances he would never forget. The old fisherman's son who once sang to the ocean had finally been heard across the world. And somewhere beyond the waves, perhaps his mother was listening too.